Just what are public-private partnerships? How are we keeping children safe? Children are being reduced to data points so outcomes can be tracked. Now there's a predatory model based on profit. When you're talking about money and children, the system gets gamed and you, the parent, lose your voice. Is it really informed consent? You decide. Here's your host, Lynn Davenport.
Welcome to Social Impact. I'm your host, Lynn Davenport, and I'm here with Faith Johnson. Faith is running for criminal district attorney for the Dallas County. And as election season is up here really soon, I thought that I would have her on the show to get a call to action to get people to understand who they're voting for, what's going on in Dallas County, and why they need to vote for Faith. So welcome, Faith.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So, well, okay, I want to know more about you and why Dallas County needs to vote for you.
Well, I am originally from Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
I'm the youngest of 13 kids and grew up there, attended high school, college, even got my graduate degree there in community counseling, my BA degree in psychology. And it was so interesting. I grew up poor, not knowing I was poor. And I just loved, I thought I was going to be a professional student. I just loved learning, loved classes, loved my teachers. And I was about to graduate from high school. Mm-hmm. And my mother had saved $25 to get me whatever I wanted. And back then, I may have had 3 outfits that I wore every week to school. So she just knew I wanted a new dress. She just knew it. And she was so excited. And she came to me and she said, "Baby girl, I saved up this $25 to get you whatever you want for graduation. What do you want for graduation?" And she was excited. The way I'm excited now, that's the way she was.
Right.
And I said, "Mama, I want 100 friends." She said, No, baby girl. Do you understand what I just said? I have saved $25 to get you whatever you want for graduation. What do you want for graduation? I said, "Mama, I want 100 friends." She said, "Baby girl, what are you going to do with 100 friends?" I said, "Mama, I'm going to do this for them, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this." And I was so excited. And I realized, going all the way back then, my life, I had no idea that I would ever be in public office. That was never my desire. Mm-hmm. My desire all of my life was, what can I do for you? What can I do for you and you and you? And here I am today.
Story.
I want to do for the people of Dallas County. I care about them. I care about them, their family, their fortune, and their future. And right now, Dallas is at a point where either it's like do or die. We're in a crisis. We need a change. And Faith Johnson is that change. And I have put myself out there. I tell folks all the time, I can be at home looking at Forrest Gump, but I'm out here on the campaign trail because I want to make a difference in your lives. There's so many crazy things happening in Dallas County, and people feel so unsafe, so insecure, and I want to bring back law and order to Dallas County. I'm somebody who they can trust to uphold their oath, and that's what's missing in Dallas County. So I'm running to make certain that you're safe, your kids are safe, your husband, your families, your neighbors, because it is out of control in Dallas County, and I'm here to make that difference.
Well, I think you bring up a good point because much of what I do here on this show is talk about education and what's happening and teaching parents how to use the law to fight lawlessness. And I think that needs to happen at all levels of government. And so hearing you say that is refreshing because we know that Dallas County, as it's being run right now, not just our county judge, but also with the district attorney's office. And so, and I don't want to talk too much about your opponent.
Exactly.
Because we call him Em Go Creuzot.
Yes.
And we do that because he's letting people go who've been arrested for crimes $750 and below. So tell me about that and why that's such a threat to our safety.
Well, when you really look at what he's doing, he's saying to the police, in fact, he was so bold about it. Back in 2019, he made an announcement. He said to the police and to the people of Dallas County, I am not going to prosecute cases if people steal less than $750. He made the announcement. He thought that was something smart, that was something cute. Well, think about the whole impact of that.
Right.
The fact that you can go into a store and steal up to $750 and you're not going to get prosecuted?
No.
So that means that the store owner, in essence, what he did two things. He said to the store owners, they can come into your store and they can get anything they want up to $750 and I'm not going to do anything about it. Well, you have people who have worked all their lives to build their store, put their sweat into it, their money into it, and you're saying to the thieves, you can come into my store and steal whatever you want as long as you don't steal more than $750. Well, what are thieves doing? They're going in with calculators and they're calculating to make certain it doesn't go more than $750 because they know that Em Go Creuzot is not going to prosecute.
Right.
And what are you saying to the police? Don't go out there, because he even said that to them. Don't go out there. Don't bring those cases to me because I'm not going to prosecute them. They can steal whatever they want up to $750.
Well, and people know that they can see the uptick in crime, and although we hear from our leaders that crime is down.
Don't believe it.
It's not true.
Right.
We have evidence to show, and violent crime is up as well.
Exactly.
So I don't, there's a way that they manipulate the data, and I don't know how they do that or why they do that because the sunshine is the best disinfectant. If we know what we're dealing with, then we can address it as community members.
Exactly.
Right.
Because neither Em Go Creuzot or Faith Johnson really had to tell you whether or not crime is going up. All you have to do is open up your window and hear the gunshots and look at TV and see the crime. And, we had a little mom on the TV, a little African-American female out of South Dallas. He said, she was on TV saying, don't you all dare believe that crime is going down. It's not going down. It's going up. And it's also about how he counts the number. I mean, if you never count a crime, you never accept a crime, so that means you can't count it. So look at all the cases, all the thefts and all the other cases that he's telling the police, don't even bring it. Well, that's a crime that's taken place, so you're not counting it, but it's taken place.
It's just another way for them to manipulate
Exactly.
the data. Yes.
Exactly.
Well, okay, so when we come back, we're going to take a little bit of a break, but I want to talk about how you're polling and how you're getting crossover voters.
Yes,
so
okay.
We will be right back.
Great.
How long has it been since you've updated your brand or restocked your promotional items? The more often people see your company logos and taglines, the more often your company comes to mind. That top-of-mind thinking is exactly what grows businesses and generates revenues. So at Big Feet Creations, I've dedicated my time and talent for over 30 years designing and illustrating print and digital products that people love and remember. Now we're adding website design and audio-video editing too. Call Big Feet Creations at 469-450-7350. I'm a big guy, and I've taken big steps to help you grow big. Big Feet Creations, 469-450-7350. Call today. That's 469-450-7350.
Dallas County used to be the economic heart of Texas. But under career politician Clay Jenkins, our economy is at a standstill. His high taxes and shutdowns have shuttered small businesses and cost us thousands of jobs. I'm Lauren Davis. It's time for new leadership. As a CEO, I know how to find solutions and create good, high-paying jobs. Working together, we can get Dallas County moving again.
Lauren Davis for Dallas County Judge.
We're back with Social Impact. I'm Lynn Davenport here with Faith Johnson, running for Criminal District Attorney for Dallas County. And so I want to talk about why people are now crossing over to vote for you, whether they're Democrat or Republicans. They're on your side because of the crime that's happening in Dallas and they see. So tell me more about that, what you're hearing from the voters.
And one of the things one of the first positions I was able to hire in my campaign was a crossover coordinator, because I understood that I needed crossover votes to be able to win this race. And this whole issue of crime is so relevant to every single person in Dallas County. In fact, it's more relevant to people down south.
Well, and on that note, so this is very interesting, because when we were talking, you said that you're up in the polls across the board.
Across the board.
Which is really exciting, because 60 days ago you were
equal. That's right.
Equal with him.
Exactly.
Okay? So now, as the uptick in crime is happening, especially even just in the last 2 months, we're seeing it. It's growing.
Right.
Crime, homelessness, all kinds of issues. And so if you are now polling higher than him, being in the southern sector, or hearing from people in the southern sector, this is very interesting, because it's predominantly Democrat.
Exactly.
But they're saying, no, we don't care. When crime is up, we don't care. We just want somebody to fix it. Then we don't care your party.
Exactly.
So you're getting crossover.
I'm getting crossover. In fact, it's interesting, if you kind of travel around, you'll see people with a Beto sign and a Faith Johnson sign. And that's just a sign of people crossing over. I mean, they really are Democrats, and they're just simply saying, you're one of the only Republican I'm going to vote for, because crime is so important to me.
Because Beto is more of a distant leader, and we're talking about a local leader, and everyth's local. Politics is local.
Yes.
And you really do care about what happens in your schools and in your community.
Exactly.
And you want to, we want safety, and we want enforcement of the law. We want to know that when we call our police, if something happens to us, they come. And so I think it's interesting. So where you are not polling the highest
is in Highland Park.
Highland Park liberal Democrats.
Yeah, rich.
Who live, so affluent, rich. They live behind gated communities. They live in communities where they call their police department, and the Highland Park police come in seconds. Mm-hmm. And I just heard of a case where the police didn't come for 30 minutes to an hour.
Right.
And so, so
outside of Highland Park,
they don't understand the sense of urgency, because they're still relatively unaffected by this.
Yes.
However, I will tell you, I was talking to someone was telling me that Preston Center has had tremendous uptick in break-ins in cars, and they can do it in seconds.
Right.
And so people are starting to feel it in those affluent neighborhoods. So don't be surprised if you see that continue to increase your reach there.
Right. Exactly.
So why do you think that is, that there's that entitlement there in the, or not the entitlement, but the perception that Democrats would do any better on this when they're not?
And I think in places like Highland Park, they can afford to hire their own security. They got their gates, and and they feel pretty much secured, and they may not feel it like somebody in South Dallas. They hear it.
Sure.
All they have to do is open up their windows, and they hear the gunshots.
That's
and
true.
they getting robbed, so they feel it more than somebody in Highland Park. That's why I'm polling higher south of the Trinity than my opponent, because they want to change. They want somebody to care. For example, they don't want someone to say to their child, it's okay to steal. They say, we're not a thieves, so why are you giving my child permission to go steal?
So they're getting mixed messages.
Right.
So if your leaders tell you it's okay, 750 or below, you don't get prosecuted, but your parents are telling you stealing is wrong, that's a conflicting message. And we're having the same issue in the schools, where the offenses and the disciplinary issues are not being reported. And so then the kids are sent back to class.
Exactly.
And we even see this on a national scale, where there are issues with students,
Yes.
and then those end up becoming violent students, and the warning signs were there, but they're not being reported.
Exactly.
And a lot of that came under restorative justice under Obama.
Yeah.
But, again, people don't want to tie it to that. And, I'm thinking, while we're talking, I was thinking about council member Adam Basildua, who wanted to defund the police. Mm-hmm. He lives behind a gated community. So I find that interesting. Those who are safe can put
And they ran on that to get elected, but afterwards they realized there's no way you're going to defund the police. I mean, if you defund the police, who's going to come and help you? You're going to call Willie Joe?
You're going to call a social worker?
No, you're going to call Willie Joe. Willie Joe, okay, around the corner, come help me. Somebody is breaking into my house. No, that's not going to happen. They realize that we need the police.
We do.
We need the police. And so that's why, and even when you talk about this issue of crime, somebody who's getting ready to rob you, they don't stop and say, are you Republican or Democrat, or are you white or black? They just simply rob you. Yeah. And that's why crime is such an issue across the board. That's why I have that support in South Dallas, North Dallas, East Dallas, even West Dallas. I just don't have it in Highland Park. That's the only place. Well, I'm not saying I'm not getting.
You do have it, but you don't.
I don't have it. I don't have it at the same level as my opponent. That's all. I do have some support over there. So Highland Park, if you're listening, for those of you who are my supporters, I love you. I need you to get out. I need you to vote and get some of your friends and take them to the poll also.
Yes, and they will. And so, okay, so tell me how then, how are you getting the message across with your voters?
I'm getting the message across in so many ways in different avenues. Mailers, we got mailers going out. We got texting going out. I'm getting ready to start a TV commercial. We were doing OTT, but now we're getting ready to do broadcast television commercials. That's going to start the latter part of this week. We're also doing telephoning. We're doing block walking. So we're doing everything that we can do. We had a unity prayer breakfast just last week where we brought pastors in from all over the county. And this was a unity prayer breakfast, not about Faith Johnson. I just simply said, I want to pray for righteousness and justice in Dallas County. I didn't even invite any elected officials, any candidates. I didn't even want it to be about me. Yeah. The pastors were so impressed. They just thought it was just brilliant. And they felt so comfortable praying 12 points. And I had Bishop T.D. Jakes there who brought the message overall. And we were praying for different things: peace, unity, love, obedience, repentance. We prayed about all those topics, and mainly we were praying about righteousness and justice. If people just get to that.
Well, those are biblical concepts.
Those are biblical concepts, and we can get people to vote on that, then we wouldn't have to tell them to vote Republican or Democrat. They vote based on what's right, then the right candidate would get in.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and I think one thing I want to address too is the role. I mean, just define the role and what it is that the criminal district attorney does on a daily basis.
You know, one of the main things people need to understand, the DA is your lawyer. I would be responsible.
Which is funny because Jenkins is not.
He's not a judge. He's kind of like an administrator.
Yeah, so we're voting for Lauren Davis on that one. Yeah, but people think that
he's a judge. He's not.
Okay, so in this,
but the DA is really your prosecutor. It's a lawyer for the people. Because think about it. Right now, your current DA is prioritizing criminals over the victims. Right. And really, his job is to represent the complainant in that case. But he's trying to make certain that the criminals are taken care of. And the pool of victims, the people who's been victimized, whether they've been robbed or raped or whatever, they're kind of taking a second seat back to the criminals. And really, I'm going to change that. I'm going to make certain that I'm upholding the law. And that's what you want.
That's really your primary role.
That's my primary role, to uphold the law and to represent the victim in the cases, to prosecute and to make certain that the victim is heard, and I'm representing them in a court of law in the criminal cases. That's my job, is to prosecute, not to legislate, not to decide which law should it be, which one should we abide by and which we shouldn't. My job is to make certain that I enforce the law. Now, so that's why I say to people, I want to be not soft on crime, I want to be smart on crime, meaning that I need to know when to be tough and I need to know when to show compassion. Because as a DA, I'm not always tough. I need to be able to have the leadership skill, the wisdom, the smarts, to know that, wait a minute, I got to give this guy a second chance. I got to give this kid a second chance. And you got to do it by case basis. All kids. I mean, I don't decide that it's going to only be this kid from this part of town. I need to look at all the kids from all different parts of town to decide when I'm going to be compassionate and when I'm going to be tough. And that takes a leader who's exceptional, and that's what I am.
Well, I agree with you. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about solutions and give a call to action for the voters.
Okay, awesome.
What's worse than Biden and Pelosi having no answer for the inflation crisis? Deborah Peoples having the wrong one. She supports even higher taxes and more government spending. Under the Deborah Peoples economic plan, Tarrant County families get crushed. That's why Tim O'Hare's leadership and business experience makes common sense. To help struggling families, O'Hare will fight to lower our taxes and cut wasteful spending. Tim O'Hare, the right choice for Tarrant County Judge.
It seems like there's never enough time in your business to get everything done that you need to. Searching for the right employees to represent your brand and satisfy your customers was already hard enough, and now there are even fewer options out there. How do you find the right people and keep them? My name is Terrell Tipton with Insperity, and we offer HR services that make your company make sense. Too often, local business owners take on HR activities wanting to run their business on a shoestring, but that can mean sacrificing revenue-generating activities that allow you to continue to grow and serve your community at the level you want. Call 972-409-4316 today. I'll walk you through Insperity's outsourced HR services and health insurance options and help you come up with a plan that gets the most out of your business and your budget. Insperity provides stability to businesses in uncertain times and has been helping companies just like yours since 1986. Call 972-409-4316 and talk to me, Terrell Tipton. It's time for your business to run better, grow faster, and make more money. 972-409-4316. Call today. One last time, 972-409-4316.
All right, we're back with Faith Johnson, candidate for criminal district attorney for Dallas. And one thing I want the viewers to understand is you've previously held this role. So you know exactly what the job entails, and you're the incumbent, your opponent. He was funded by George Soros.
Oh, yes.
So that was back, was that how many years ago?
That was back in 2017, 2018.
That was when he was elected.
Yeah, and he admitted to that in a D magazine. I think he admitted to receiving over $200,000 from George Soros.
And we know that they'll probably sandbag it, so they're not reporting it until the 8th day.
Right,
if
exactly.
Soros does fund him again, we'll know in a few days.
Yeah, we'll know after the, we'll know, we'll get the report, yes.
Yes. Which is what they generally tend to do, so people can't report that before people go to the polls.
Exactly.
And so you had advisory boards and things that you were able to create under that role, and so that was a way for you to keep in contact with the community, understand what's going on. You said over 950 meetings that you had. Yes. Is that right?
I attended over 950 meetings and events the 2 years that I was Dallas County District Attorney. Yes.
So you really wanted to know what the pulse was in all the different communities where you were serving.
And I wanted them to have a part in what we were doing. I even had a youth advisory board. I had a ministerial advisory board because I think it takes, a lot of times people say a village to raise a child. We need everybody involved to be able to address the issues and concerns.
With us, not for us.
That's right.
And so I think that's where that village to raise a child thing is. People like Hillary saying we want to do it for you. We want to raise your children. No. And you're saying to do it with us.
Together,
Yes, because it is a partnership, and in order to come up with better solutions, they always come from those who are closest to the issues.
That's exactly.
Rather than the heavy hand of the tyrannical leadership we have today. And then I want people to understand too that early voting is coming up fast. Now we want people to vote on Election Day, which is Tuesday, November the 8th. So when they vote on Election Day, that reduces the chance of any funny business happening, because when they get the voter rolls, then that's when some things can happen each day. They know how much they need to cheat.
But if they foresee any issues of voting on Election Day, don't
not
please,
vote.
Don't not vote.
Yes, if you know you're going to be out of town and you know that you can't vote on Election Day, absolutely, we're not saying don't vote. So that means early voting starts on Monday. This is the 24th.
Yes.
And that runs through
November the 4th.
So the Friday. Is it the Friday before?
Yeah, the election.
Okay. Yes, and so it's important for people to help with poll greeting. I'm going to sign up for that, and we'll have a link to that for you to sign up. So I will be out there with a Faith Johnson t-shirt. And you'd be surprised how many people come to the polls and they don't know who they're
They
voting
don't know
for.
who they
Or they're
voted for.
texting people like, I get people text me all the time.
Yeah, who should I vote for?
I'm running a vote. Who do I vote for?
Right.
Which I appreciate.
Yes.
But, you know, a lot of times if I can't get the text right then they just go and they guess. It's amazing how many people go into the polls and they guess.
Just click.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, there's no longer straight party voting. So people will actually go inside that booth and they're going to need to choose every category.
But it will say
It'll
that
say-
you are the Republican candidate.
Yes, it will say.
For
And it will say my name.
district attorney.
Yeah, district attorney, and I'm a Republican candidate for that. And I love the idea that so many crossover people, they know I'm Republican, but a lot of them have said to me, look, you'll be the only Republican I'm going to vote for. And some of them say, I'll vote for you, and I'll also vote for this Republican candidate. And I welcome that because, as I said earlier, crime impacts everybody, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, how much money you make. Even if you live in Highland Park, they don't quite understand it, but it impacts them also.
Well, and there are those who live in Highland Park, but they work in downtown Dallas
Yes,
or South Dallas.
exactly.
And so, yes, it does affect us in every way. And okay, so also you need donations because
Yes.
it's not too late to give donations. You have ads coming out. You
Yes,
have mailers. Those mailers
yes.
are so expensive.
Oh,
You're
very
about to do your
expensive.
third mailer.
I'm getting ready to do my fourth.
Fourth mailer, okay.
Yeah,
Yes, and so.
And I plan to do about 7, and then I'm getting ready to start TV commercial. I'm getting ready to do broadcast TV commercials, so that's very expensive.
Those are very effective.
Yeah, they're very effective.
Well, hopefully this will get you some.
I hope so.
Some good votes for people to share this. Okay, and then to get people out to the polls, you can call your friends, you can text them, you can drive them to the polls. That's all good. Every vote counts.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then I mentioned the poll greeters. So people can stand out there with the push cards, and
Yes.
what a push card is. There we go, and it has details on you and your leadership,
Right.
and it also has the way to reach you at
Right.
your website.
Yeah, you may want to tell them my website.
Which
so
I
that,
will,
yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, so it's faithjohnsonforda.com.
Yes.
Okay, and then also I want to talk about too is before we close is just some solutions that you want to. We talked about some of your ideas, but I want specific solutions, tangible things that people can take with them. So why they should vote for you and the things that you're going to do when you first get in office when you win.
Sorry, I'm so excited about this because the very first thing I'm going to do is reinstate the law of if you go into the store and you steal anything, you will be prosecuted. And people think that that's the only policy that this current DA is not enforcing, but there's a whole list of things.
That's kind of the marquee.
Yeah, that's the marquee
issue. That
Yes,
he's known for.
He's known, but there's tons of other things he's not prosecuting. And that's not my role. My role is not to not prosecute. If I wanted to be a legislator, senator, representative, and I wanted to change the laws, that's what I would run for. And maybe that's what he ought to run for. But as the DA, your job is to uphold the laws, all the laws of this state and of these United States. So that's number one I plan to do immediately. 12:01 a.m., those policies of not following the law, we will reinstate prosecuting all cases. Now, that doesn't mean, I want people to understand, just because I say I'm prosecuting, I'm not saying I'm putting everybody in jail. No way. Are you kidding? I'm smart on crime, not soft on crime. I'm smart on crime. So you, as a leader, you need to know when to be tough and when to be compassionate. I believe in second chances. Are you kidding? We're going to give second chances, but you got to know who to give those second chances to. And it's not going to be people in this part of town and that part of town. Everybody,
right.
We're looking at the possibility of second chances, and we will give those second chances.
And one of the excuses for doing that, to allow people to get away with that, was the excuse that he gave us is that it's to keep the prisons down. The numbers.
And that's such a big
And
plus.
that's actually gone up since he's been in office.
Exactly.
That doesn't compute either.
In fact, if you remember the articles that went out and all the debates in commissioner's court about complaining about the jail population, and that they were at a point where they're about to lose millions of dollars because the jail population was so high. Go back September 2022 and read those articles yourselves, because the population, I never had that problem when I was serving as your DA in 2017, 2018. So that's evidence that his policy is not working because the jail population is going up. And that's still with him not prosecuting and not accepting these certain cases, and especially all these cases where people are able to go into the store and still up to $750.
Well, so you've given us exactly the reasons why we need to vote for you for criminal district attorney for Dallas County. So Faith, thank you so much for coming on Social Impact. And again, tell us where we can reach you.
You can reach me at faithjohnsonforda.com. Go to my website. You can sign up as a volunteer. You can donate. You can endorse me. And if you have some questions, just write your question on one of those forms. And I'm up usually sometime 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, responding to people by email. I won't call you that time of morning, but I will email you that time of morning.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to the Social Impact Podcast on the OBBM Network, available on Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, or anywhere you enjoy listening to podcasts. For more information about how you can get involved to educate our local DFW communities or to be a guest or sponsor of Social Impact Podcast, call 214-673-4018. For OBBM Network programming information or permissions for reproduced segments of the show, call 214-714-0495. Social Impact Podcast is created by Offbeat Business Media, LLC, for the OBBM Network. Unauthorized use of this content, the Social Impact Podcast, or OBBM Network brands are expressly prohibited.